Let's get this out of the way right off the bat. I've been a fan of Lindsay Ellis since about 2010, more than an entire decade. However, while I've always been a fan of her film commentary content, I don't often agree with her stances on politics or social things, as far as I've noticed. Because of this, I didn't really keep a close eye on her socials other than YouTube because frankly I wasn't really all that interested. That is until the crap hit the fan and she was canceled. You know, just like anybody who dares to have a thought outside of the hive mind these days, but we'll come back to that later. It all seemed to start with this tweet having to do with Rava and the Last Dragon. That's what kick-started this whole thing. I don't want to take too much time out of this video to talk about my own thoughts on this tweet, but I did tweet about it, and I think that sums it up fairly well. Literally every single ATLA fan group that I was a part of on the internet when this movie came out was throwing a fit about how it looked like a blatant ripoff of Avatar: The Last Airbender, leeching off of the popularity that the show had gained recently. It was starting to rise in popularity again, and it looked like this was just Disney latching onto that. I am a huge stan for Avatar: The Last Airbender, and I promise you, so many people were saying that. So while Lindsay has certainly had some questionable thoughts in my opinion, this wasn't one of them, in my opinion. It could have come off as mildly insensitive at most, but no, the internet disagreed and therefore she was canceled over this. Even after that Twitter drama happened, I still didn't pay close attention to her Twitter and stuff, but now she's officially released a statement saying that she is leaving the platform of YouTube, she's quitting, she's done. And she has plans to leave the public eye. On her Patreon, she officially wrote about her decision and talked about the way that being canceled was the snowball that got bigger and pushed her into this choice. As of this moment, that statement can still be read on her Patreon. It costs $2 to see. Now, I'm going to talk about what she said, but I'm going to paraphrase and I'm not going to show screenshots. I just don't feel like it's cool to steal that from her to post for my own content, even though I'm sure it's been blasted all over the internet for free by now at this point. But if you're interested in reading that yourself, I'll link it down below. In the post, she talks about the way her experience online has been extremely disheartening. More or less, she realized through experience that the cancel culture types are not her friends. They will turn on you. She talks about how the whole experience was very dehumanizing, and it's kind of left her with no motivation to make content anymore. This, to me, read as very similar as when Jennamarbles left YouTube, when she quit the internet, and it brings up a lot of those same feelings. Back when Jennamarbles quit YouTube, so many of us were really sad, and it wasn't just about the fact that she felt like she needed to leave the platform. It was because the reason was really sad. It's sad to see the creators you love feel so beat down from being in the public eye for so long and being harassed about it that they feel like they have to quit for their own well-being. Lindsay also mentions in her post that there are white men that will claim to be supportive of people like her and be against cancel culture when they know that it's all rigged to benefit them. Which is absolutely ridiculous. If you want to debate with me over whether modern American society is rigged to benefit cis white males specifically, I am happy to have that conversation. By all means, leave me all the comments. I will debate you, I will discuss with you, any of that stuff. But when we're talking about being an internet personality, there is no systematic oppression keeping anyone down over anyone else. Jennamarbles, in the last video that was posted to her channel before it was later taken down, basically said that she was ashamed about her past behavior, and that the constant harassment that she got about it became too much. She started to feel bad about herself as a person, and she felt like she needed to leave and just be done. And that she was quitting because she felt like she had been losing a lot of her creative steam anyway. This is similar to things that Lindsay Ellis also said in her post. That she knew that her time on YouTube was coming to an end anyway, and that this drama, this whole situation, was just a violent shove into what she knew was inevitable in the first place. It brought her to a quicker end than she intended. More cynical minds have said that maybe this is the creators trying to go out in a blaze of self-pity and kind of like go out as a martyr, but I really don't think so. I truly believe that after years and years of making content in a constantly shifting and changing, drastically changing social atmosphere, that it wears down on a person and that they just felt like enough was enough. And after all that time, especially, yeah, they have every right to step down out of the public eye and take care of themselves. And I'm only bringing that up because I'm not at all saying that we are owed content from anybody. A creator's well-being is absolutely the first and foremost, and they need to take care of themselves. End of. But this is where we come to the meat of what I really want to say about all this. The only way to beat toxic cancel culture is to refuse to play the game. Lindsay Ellis tried to play the cancel culture game and only realized how toxic it is when she did her own oopsie and realized that with these people, there are no apologies, there are no redemptions, there is only rejection and dehumanization. These are words that she used herself in her post. Now, she probably doesn't even realize consciously that the fatal flaw in her preferred social stances in dealing with these kind of people and her subsequent canceling by those same type of people is that she was trying to play an unwinnable game. Because cancel culture types do not see human beings. They see causes and they see opportunities for social superiority. To put it shortly, yes, they absolutely dehumanize. Jennamarbles realized the same thing over a much more stretched out period of apologizing for mistakes and realizing that when you apologize and when you try to appeal to these type of people, you can never win because it's never going to be good enough. They tried to play that game, and when they found out that the foundation of what they thought they stood for could turn on them just as easily with no remorse or second glance, they were understandably shook. Now, does this mean that they should grow a thicker skin and just deal with it? About a month ago, I probably would have said yes, but honestly, no. Both of them started making content when the internet was a very different place, and both of them have endured for years, for 10 plus years, the pressures that come along with being so much in the public space, in the public eye, in the public opinion for that kind of length of time. They were not equipped to deal with these things emotionally or practically, and that's okay. So, okay, Chelsea, what's the point of this? What are we supposed to take away from this? Newer content creators, newer channels, and even existing channels that still want to go on in this industry must understand that to play this game is to lose this game. You can't win because nobody is free of sin. Everybody is an ever-changing individual. Human beings are not a hive mind that are born knowing the right thing to do. Which sounds like basic common sense, but these cancel culture types seem to forget that fact. Or let's be real, it's not that they forget, they don't care. That's why this is a game that you can't win. It's a game with no winner because no one is free of sin, and if you have sin, it will be exploited so that these people can feel morally superior. They do not own the concepts of goodness, human decency, justice, human rights, empathy, or even basic goodness. Look at television. In today's social climate, how do shows like Family Guy, It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, South Park, how do these shows exist when we live in a cancel culture? How do they get away with what they've been getting away with? Why do these shows seem untouchable? Because they do not play the game. They do not make apologies for their sense of humor. They don't feel the need to justify, and they don't feel the need to appeal to the crybabies that these cancel culture types are. Now, do they get hate for it? Of course, but they do what they do because they don't allow that kind of stuff to touch them. And I can hear you. I can hear you saying, but that's different. Those are big production companies with tons of resources and money at their disposal, and you can't compare that to YouTube channels. And you're right. However, there are parallels. The core message here still applies. Jennamarbles was one of the biggest YouTube channels on the platform, and PewDiePie, the biggest, faces just as much, if not more, scrutiny still, and he's doing just fine. Now, there are people who would love for you to believe that the difference here is that PewDiePie is a cis white man, and that is why he can still do fine in spite of all the hatred he gets. But it isn't. The key difference here is the refusal to play the game. Which brings me to my next segment. All that cancel culture is a bully mob. Allow me to tell you a very quick story of my childhood. I promise it's relevant and it will come full circle. Throughout my youth and adolescence, I was literally too dumb to realize that other kids tried to bully me. I was a socially isolated idiot that didn't even realize that other kids tried to bully me until I looked back at it in adulthood. So what happened? When kids came up to me and said hateful things and tried to hurt me, I legitimately thought, why are they acting like cartoon characters? I thought they were trying to pretend to be cartoon and movie characters, and I couldn't understand why they would want to be the ugly bully type characters. Like, I thought it was some kind of game. It didn't compute. I didn't understand that they were trying to hurt me realistically. I just didn't believe that people would really do that to each other for no reason. That's how dumb I was. So I would give them this kind of look, and then I'd go back about my business. I was genuinely unbothered. Illymation recently posted a video about her experiences with bullies in school and said this.
And my parents told me this: just ignore it. I'm starting to wonder if that advice is given by people who maybe haven't been bullied before, because I was already just ignoring it. I said nothing and I did nothing. I'd ignore them because they just wanted a reaction and I refused to give it to them. But I'm not sorry to inform you all, ignoring bullies doesn't work.
Personally, I think she missed the point. The common advice given to children is to ignore bullies, because you can't just tell a child to stop caring, just stop getting hurt. So you have to explain it to a child in a way that a child can understand. And when telling a child to ignore bullies, the goal was to try to condition the child not to care about what bullies did. And that really is one of the only ways to make bullies stop bullying you. And when you're avoiding them, looking down, being visibly upset, even though she says that she said nothing and she did nothing because they just wanted a reaction and she refused to give it to them, that's all well and good. But that still is a reaction. Being upset is still getting something out of it. The idea is to try to condition the child's brain not to be affected, to genuinely not care. I'm not saying it was the best parenting advice. I'm not saying it's the best way to go about things to tell a child to ignore bullies. I'm just saying I'm pretty sure that that's the idea behind telling kids to ignore bullies. The purpose is to try to get them to genuinely not care what anybody else has to say. Not everyone was blessed the way I was to have the kind of social incompetence that evolved itself into one of my greatest strengths in my adult life: the freedom of not caring what anybody thinks. In my personal opinion, there are very few inner strengths that are more valuable than the freedom of being unoffendable. No greater power than realizing that to let hateful and terrible people hurt you is to hand them the power to hurt you. But where is this going? Why does any of this matter? Fighting cancel culture is the same principle. Cancel culture types are bullies in their own right. They look at someone like Jennamarbles, for example, and they don't see a human being who has grown and changed throughout her life. They see a clout cow. They will hurt people without care. And I know I'm going to get some people arguing with me that some of them think it's for the greater good. Some of them, their heart is in a good place. I don't really believe that, but I can see where the argument comes from. The only way to fight this as a society and as a culture is to treat cancel culture people as the bullies that they are, and do not allow their screams to bring us down emotionally or keep us down from doing the things that we love. Don't allow them to take that passion away from you. Don't allow them to take your voice. Do not allow yourself to be silenced. And never, ever, ever apologize because of popular demand. If you are ever going to apologize publicly for anything, make sure you are only doing it because you yourself feel like you have wronged someone and you feel in your heart that you want to apologize for it. Do not ever cave to social pressure when it comes to apologies. Now, there are those that claim that creators today have to cater to cancel culture vultures in order to survive. RPG Pundit and I kind of got into it wasn't really an argument, like a little disagreement about this recently. Basically, RPG Pundit has made the argument that cancel culture people have power because they can block us off from conventions, get people banned from the things that they like, hurt sales of things that you're trying to sell, because their influence has very real effects. And yes, it probably will, but the only way to stop that is to stop giving them that power. When we behave as if they have power, we hand them that power. Don't fall into that trap. If it is to get that bad, creators must take it upon themselves to create different spaces, newer spaces, better spaces. And if you look around hard enough, a lot of them already have. We can make new conventions. We can find fans of our type of content. We do not have to cater to the kind of people that would hurt us simply for being human, simply for making mistakes in our past. And yeah, that's a lot of work. That's hard. But what is the alternative? The alternative is bending to these types, sacrificing individuality, freedom of speech, even freedom of thought. It's up to us and the younger people to steadily swing that pendulum all the way back around. And I know, okay? I know it's easy for me, someone who's basically nobody online, to sit here and say these things. Regardless, I have a history of saying things like, blocking is for cowards and pussies. I have a history of claiming that using block bots and protecting yourself from other opinions is cowardly. I've stood on this hill for a long time, years on the internet, longer than the Twitter has been around. But I can say these things because I don't care, and a lot of people don't have that luxury. I don't feel the need to block a-holes because a-holes do no damage to my mental health. I believe that the only reason to block someone is if you feel like you are in real danger. And I don't mean psychological danger, I don't mean hurt feelings danger, I mean actual, physical, real danger. I'm not gonna sit here and tell you not to block people. I'm not your mom. Not everyone is like me on this, and that's fine. If you need the block button, please use it. I will take that hit for you. I'll be the metaphorical punching bag. I will take the hit. Bring it on.
That's right. You can come find me and call me an enemy to my face. I dare you.
I don't block people. I don't block people for different opinions. I don't block people who try to harass me or bring me down. Because unless I care about you as a person, why on earth would I care what you have to say? I can take it because I am genuinely unfazed. You are not bad or wrong for protecting your own mental well-being. But there is no block button for what cancel culture does. We simply have to face it head on. And how do we win? Say it with me. We do not play their game. Anyways, I've been feeling that rant inside me for many moons, and it just needed to get out there. I needed it out of my head. So thank you for joining me on that little adventure. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe and ring the bell for more content. Links are down below, and I'll see you next time. Bye.